Imagine the interviewer asks you this question. Can you explain what SOQL relationship queries are and walk me through the difference between a child-to-parent query and a parent-to-child query? Maybe give me a quick example of each. This is one of those questions that comes up constantly in Salesforce developer and admin interviews, especially for anyone working with Apex or reports. It sounds technical, but once you understand the core idea, it is actually very straightforward to explain. Now, here is a simple and strong way to answer this question in an interview. Sure. In Salesforce, objects are connected to each other through relationships. For example, a contact is related to an account. When I need to pull data from two related objects in a single SOQL query, I use what is called a relationship query. There are two types. The first is a child-to-parent query. This is when I am querying the child object, but I also want to bring in a field from the parent. I do this using dot notation. For example, if I want the contact name and the account name together, I write select name, account.name from contact. Here, contact is the child, account is the parent, and that dot notation is how I reach across to the parent and grab its field. The second type is a parent-to-child query. This is the opposite direction. I am querying the parent object, but I want to include records from the child. For this, I use a subquery, which is basically a select statement inside parentheses, nested within the main query. For example, select name, and then in parentheses, select last name from contacts, and then from account. Notice that inside the subquery, I use the plural form of the child object name, which is contacts, not contact. That is important, and interviewers do ask about it. The key thing to remember is this: dot notation for child to parent, and a subquery in parentheses for parent to child. That answer is clean, confident, and covers the concept with a real example. If you keep it that structured, you will come across as someone who genuinely understands how Salesforce data relationships work. Now let me walk you through 2 or 3 follow-up questions the interviewer might ask next, so you are not caught off guard. The first follow-up could be, why do you use the plural form of the child object name in a subquery? The simple answer here is that in a parent-to-child subquery, you are not referring to the object itself, you are referring to the relationship name. For standard objects, Salesforce names that relationship using the plural form of the child object. So instead of contact, you write contacts, because that is the name of the relationship between account and contact. Just say that clearly, and you will be fine. The second follow-up could be, can you filter a parent-to-child query based on a field in the child object? The answer is yes, and the way you do it is by adding a where clause to the main query that uses a subquery to check the child records. For example, you can write where ID in, and then in parentheses, a select of the account ID from contact, where last name equals Forbes. What that does is find contacts with that last name, grab their account ID, and use it to filter which accounts are returned by the main query. Think of it like a cross filter in reports. Just mention that comparison and the interviewer will know you understand the practical use case. The third follow-up might be, how deep can you nest parent-to-child relationships in a SOQL query? The answer here is up to 5 levels. The parent is counted as level 1, and you can go 4 levels deep from there into child relationships. Going beyond 5 levels will cause an error. You do not need to memorize the exact rule, just know the limit exists and mention it confidently. If you keep your answer simple, structured, and backed with a small example, you will come across as confident and clear in your interview. Relationship queries are one of those topics where knowing the two types, child to parent with dot notation and parent to child with the subquery, is really all you need to make a strong impression.